Welcome back to Adventures of a Black Belt Sommelier, sponsored by Four Paws Restaurant, the iconic fine dining restaurant in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's wonderful food, attentive professional service, fabulous wines. Guests brought in 2 bottles of wine Saturday night. Was generous enough to share a glass of each with me, not a taste, a glass. It's very generous considering what these two wines were. By the way, if you, I've posted this before. But there is etiquette about bringing your own wine to a restaurant. Let's talk about it in a minute. Number one, it shouldn't just be an attempt to save money. You should be bringing wine to a restaurant because you're bringing something special, something that you've been saving for a special moment, something that you have in your wine cellar, not something you stop by the liquor store on your way to the restaurant to buy in order to save money on dinner. Not if you care about the restaurant, because you are not supporting the restaurant if you're bringing wine in just to save money. And I got to tell you, the restaurant business is really tough. The margins are really narrow. And if you're a fan of the restaurant, you're better off supporting them by buying wine from their wine list than by bringing wine in, because you will help them stay open. The other thing is you should call and be sure that they allow you to bring your own wine in and find out what the corkage fee is. Um, they vary a lot. Generally, the lowest is about $25, and then some restaurants it's a lot more than that. Um, it's a really good idea to share, as this person did, a glass or at least a taste of the wine with the sommelier or a manager or the server or the chef or all the above. A lot of times, if you do that, the corkage fee will be waived. And then this is maybe the most important thing. You should tip generously. So if you brought a bottle of wine in and your tab with including the corkage fee is $150, don't tip $30. Tip $50. Tip like you'd bought a bottle of wine. Because then when you come back the next time with a bottle of wine, you'll be welcomed, not be resented. So that's my protocol for my etiquette. I suggested etiquette for bringing your own wine into a restaurant. Uh, this guest brought in 2 extraordinary bottles of wine that he was very generous to share a glass with me. One was champagne, the 2000 Krug vintage champagne, 25-year-old champagne that was very vibrant, still extremely effervescent, this beautiful gold color, intense aromas of roasted hazelnuts, as is always the case with vintage Krug champagne, especially with a little bit of age. Tremendous salinity. Just it tasted like some kind of distillation of oyster shells and crab shells and lobster shells, which is not surprising considering what the soil is in Champagne, but it is an absolute transparent uh, representation of the terroir of uh, of this part of Champagne where Krug produces their extraordinary wines. It's 45% Pinot Noir, 45% Chardonnay, and 10% Pinot Meunier. Krug, vintage Krug, tends to age effortlessly for a long time. This bottle at 25 years old, I would say, was about in its perfect moment. This bottle was perfect. It was, I don't know, about as good as champagne's capable of being. I have to admit, I have a love of Krug champagne. I even once was the sommelier at a horizontal tasting of all the Krug champagnes from the the non-vintage rosé, the vintage, the Clos du Mesnil and the Clos d'Ambonay. The Clos d'Ambonay that sells for like, I don't know why they haven't looked like maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a bottle. These very amazing uh, charity event in Nashville where I was the sommelier. It was complete horizontal tasting of Krug, and it was one of the most wonderful moments in my career. So I have a predilection to love Krug champagne as a result of that experience, but this bottle on this night in the glasses we served it in, at the temperature we served it at, um, in the room we drank it, it was near perfection. Now, it is not inexpensive, but holy cow, if you have a special event to celebrate, if it's your 25th anniversary, you deserve something like this. And it is very, very, very special. It honestly, it tastes like, the greatest white burgundy you've ever tasted with bubbles. Although it doesn't really taste like white burgundy because it's got Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier in it. But it's that's the magnitude of greatness of this wine, is that it tastes like it's the equal of DRC Montrachet or Domaine Lafleur, Chevalier Montrachet, or any of those wonderful wines that you can name. It was extraordinary. This bottle on this night, in this room, in these glasses, at this temperature, was perfection. It also had about the finest mousse, the tiniest bubbles it's possible for champagne that is actually as effervescent as this champagne was to have. It was tour de force. Congratulations to the Krugs for producing this extraordinary wine. It is truly extraordinary. This guest also brought a bottle of 1997 Dominus in. Dominus is the Napa Valley Bordeaux blend made by Christian Wax, who also owns Chateau Petrus. 28 years old. It's 85% Cabernet Sauvignon, about 10% Merlot, I think, and the rest Petit Verdot. Um, it was, I think, on the night we drank it, in the glasses we drank it in, at the temperature we drank it at, it was at its absolute perfect moment in time. It was extraordinary. This bottle with this cork in these glasses, under these circumstances, it had an absolute classic perfume of cigar box and lead pencil shavings. If you wanted to illustrate that in a dictionary, in a wine dictionary, this wine would be a good bottle to put beside those characteristics. It's very rich and textured on the palate, lots and loads of dark fruit, licorice, uh, kind of some anise characteristics. It's really beautiful. And I would say this bottle on this night was just about at its apogee. It was extraordinary, and um, I think nearly a perfect wine. But it was just so classic. It tasted so much like a great Pomerol, but with a more New World kind of sensibility. Um, Holy cow, it was amazing. I mean, it doesn't really taste that. It doesn't really taste like Pomerol, because Pomerol is generally close to 100% Merlot, if not 100% Merlot, and this is much more Cabernet Sauvignon than Merlot, so it doesn't really taste like Pomerol. But it's hard to be not to be influenced by the label and the association you're aware of with Chateau Petrus. So in your mind, if you know that it's made by the guy that owns Chateau Petrus, and um, you have that association, it's kind of hard to divorce it from your mind. It's just something that's there, and you kind of think, this kind of tastes like Pomerol, but it doesn't really taste like Pomerol. It tastes like new Napa Valley Cabernet, Southern Napa Valley Cabernet, made by a great Bordeaux winemaker, Pomerol winemaker. It's amazing, amazing wine. So two great wines. Both of them are going to be hard to find and very expensive. But if you can afford them, or you have an occasion that's special enough to make yourself afford them, they are definitely wines worth searching for. The 1997 Dominus and the 2000 Krug vintage Brut, extraordinary wines. Thanks for tuning in to Adventures of a Black Belt Sommelier. We appreciate you very much. If I don't see you between now and then, happy Independence Day if you are hearing this, listening to this, or watching it in the United States. And if you're not watching it in the United States, I hope you have a great week, even though it's not Independence Day for you.